Hey there, everyone. This is Alan Fine, and I'm here with Juan Carlo Avila, who is the expedition leader on National Geographic Endeavour 2. We are in the Galapagos, and we're going to find out what an expedition leader does and all the adventures we had here on Insider Travel Report. So what exactly does an expedition leader do?
The expedition leader, well, first is also a naturalist guide in the field, knows about the islands and knows what to do in the field. Besides that, you have to know the organization, the management on board, to put activities together, sort of curator, and do this in the best way that guests will be more than satisfied with what we do inside and outside the ship.
But it doesn't hurt to be a part of the culture and to have grown up nearby. Tell us about yourself.
Well, it's a privilege to me to have been raised in the Galapagos Islands and join this amazing team, this company, Lindblad National Geographic in the Galapagos Islands, and I grew up here. I've been in the Galapagos Islands since the time when we had electricity for some few hours a day, until the time when we had it 24/7, until the time when we got television, and right now we have internet and we're connected with the world. We know what happens all around us. What a difference.
What's required? What's the course of study to become a naturalist in Ecuador and in the Galapagos?
It's quite special because first you have to be a permanent resident of the Galapagos Islands. Of course, in my case, I am. We came to the Galapagos in 1989, a long time ago. And the national park, the institution that takes care of this heritage, takes care of this land, is the one that organizes this training together with other institutions that provide teachers and science. So then in the field we can do what you have seen us doing, and hopefully you're having a great time on these islands.
And what I'm hearing from the other naturalists is that once they get certified, and they have to be certified before they can even have a job like
That's
this.
Correct.
Then they're excited to see who's going to hire them.
Exactly. You are trained, you are certified, but still you lack a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills to manage people, to put them together, to ignite their interest, to connect them with nature, and that's something you learn little by little over time, and this will also dictate at the end whether you find a job or not.
Once a naturalist is certified, they look for employment. What attracts them to Lindblad?
There are several reasons. Lindblad Expeditions is a big company in terms of name and traditions
and history,
the legacy, of course, the history, because this company has been involved with the conservation institutions and conservation work since the very beginning of the Galapagos National Park. And if you as a guide know that the first park officers were in the payroll of Lars Erik Lindblad, the father of our founder, you want to be part of that team. You want to be part of that legacy, and you want to join this team and explore the world with them, and you feel like that's the way to go in terms of conservation and feeling proud of what you do in this region.
Let's go over the places that we visited this voyage, starting with
Espanola Island. Espanola is one of the jewels in the Galapagos. It's the oldest island. It has a number of creatures that are endemic to the island, and also iconic ones such as the waved albatross. We went for this walk along these rocky cliffs. You saw them taking off and possibly doing the courtship. That can be an amazing experience, as this is the only species of albatross that inhabits the tropical regions.
We also saw some blue-footed boobies and their mating.
Yes, this is the cool season in the Galapagos. This is the breeding season. So a lot of the birds are in their courtship display and also in the breeding season. So you will certainly see some eggs, some babies as you explore these seabird colonies.
We enjoyed the eau de iguana.
Well, they do have their hygiene standards, but still a little bit stinky, but we like them.
Of course, the sea lions.
The sea lions, yes.
In fact, we were charged by one.
It happens, yeah. Either a baby may come curious to you to sniff at your feet, or sea lions are territorial, and sometimes you see guests running and the sea lion behind them. Yeah, one of the common things in the Galapagos Islands.
All right. Let's move on now. Where do we go next?
The next island is Floriana, an island that is amazing because of the human history. It's a place that has the famous post office barrel that was placed there at the beginning of the whaling era in the Galapagos Islands in the late 1700s. Right. This was the way how these early voyagers communicated, how they told their relatives that they were already in the Pacific, that they were doing fine, and they were about to head to the whaling grounds. So it's been important, and it is still important, and believe it or not, it still works without a stamp.
Well, we did that. All of us, we took postcards to deliver, and we left postcards to be delivered.
Yes, and I've left postcards also to my family, and believe me, they have reached the nearest island, which is Santa Cruz, which is the place I live.
Okay. What else did we do there? Did we did some kayaking and some standing boards? What did we do there?
Floriana is an island that can offer so many opportunities to explore, to go on shore, to learn, to see, to take photographs, and snorkeling in these crystal clear waters with sea lions. For some guests, I think it was the first time they had access to these creatures, and certainly they fell in love with them.
Is this where we also had the glass bottom boat?
Yes, we also had the glass bottom boat activity for guests that don't want to get wet, or the ones that don't want to go and snorkel. They have the opportunity.
No, I'm going to say this because I snorkeled the day before. What I got out of that was I was able to hear a naturalist narrate. And so people who were snorkeling just saw fish, but I heard about them. Also, I watched the drama on the shore, and we saw a teen sea lion trying to horn in on the female and family.
Yeah, it happens very often. These young sea lions, or let's call them sort of teenagers, they are attaining sexual maturity, and they are sometimes a pain. They harass females in the colony, but it happens as long as the dominant male, the one we know as the beach master, is not there. Once he arrives, he puts things in order, and he chases any intruder away.
But the point here is that at whatever your skill level is, whatever your health and ability to be mobile, there's an excursion for you. And so not to belittle the glass bottom boat, there was so much to be seen there. And then we all came back, and what did we do in the afternoon?
Yeah, in the afternoon we deploy the Zodiacs for Zodiac rides, kayaks and paddle boards. Yeah, all sorts of energy intensity activities, and also for different ages. Believe me, we get guests from children to grandparents, and they all have their activities. If the grandparents don't want to go snorkeling, they have the glass bottom boat, and they can enjoy the narration from the naturalists. Exactly. The ones that want more exercise, they can choose paddle boarding, they can choose snorkeling, they can do. Every activity is written on the daily program.
Right. And I loved the fact that bay was so calm, and we saw the turtles poking their head up.
Yes. Every place is teeming with life. For instance, you may be heading to this beach on the Zodiac, and all you see at the distance are black rocks. But once you are close, those rocks are full of crabs. And once you're on the kayak, you will see that the sea turtles are underneath you, or the sea lions are inviting you to play. Yeah, it's a fascinating experience.
I thought I'd seen all your equipment, and then when I saw the glass bottom boat, I go, well, where did that come from? That was also on the Endeavor, too.
Yes, we carry with us everything we need to improve the experience of the guest, from the Zodiacs, the paddle boards, the kayaks, the glass bottom boat, all of them, all these items are stowed on top of the ship.
Okay, so where do we go to next?
Next, we moved to Santa Cruz Island. This is the place where we have the icon of the Galapagos. the creatures that gave the name to these islands, the giant tortoises, the Galapagos giant tortoises. Arrive to reach them in the forest because they live in the misty forest. They don't live close to the shore. They don't live on the sand. They do not come to the sea. Rarely it happens. These are creatures that live in the forest.
Well, you took us from desert, and 1/2 hour later, we were in what kind of forest?
In the cloud forest. Yes, it is amazing because you go on shore and you have, let's say, a rocky shore or a white sandy beach. A few minutes away, the forest is dry, but then higher up, 20 or 15 minutes away, it is a lush green forest full of birds and giant tortoises, and everything is green
And
with
dramatic cave-ins from lava tubes.
Yes, we have all sorts of geological formation. Remember that the islands are made by volcanic activity, so then lava fields and geological formations are common everywhere.
And so then we went to a farm that also has a pretty nice restaurant.
Yes, and I would say throughout these years we have built an interesting connection with the local people in terms of sourcing and also in terms of enhancing the experience of our guests. And in this case, they are our friends for several years, and they are the ones we trust, the ones that prepare the delicious meals, besides having the tortoises right at the door of the restaurant. So what could be better than that? You are having lunch and you are watching the tortoises moving in slow motion in front of you.
But it's a wonderful example of sustainable tourism, because you're seeing a family protect these animals and raise awareness by having this facility.
Yes, at this point in the Galapagos, things have changed a lot. Now we see these animals as creatures that they have to be protected, because there are not too many in the world. They are unique in the world. Most of us know the importance of restoration, and it is important to create awareness with the local communities as well. And these people know the importance of these animals, and they know that because these creatures are important, we go there. We go and enjoy a walk, we have a meal, we hang out with them.
Now, we are now at a beach, and anything that we should know about this place?
That were still on Santa Cruz, that this morning you were in the cloud forest and maybe it was drizzling, there was some mud, everything was green, and here we're enjoying sunshine, and I think some people are going to swim.
I know.
So what a difference that you can have in the same day. In just a few hours you had lunch, you saw the tortoises in the forest, and now you're here listening to the beautiful sound of the waves.
So JC, what are we doing tomorrow?
So we're still around Santa Cruz. Okay. We're visiting Dragon Hill, and well, the name can give you some clues. That's because of the dragon-like iguanas. So tomorrow we're going to visit a colony of iguanas, and this is a dry forest as well. But what is special is that in this dry forest we have an old volcano that is dusty and sandy, which creates a good condition for the iguanas to nest. There are cactuses, there are nesting sites, and there are iguanas, there are land iguanas, some large yellow land iguanas that were actually nearly extinct like 3 decades ago. But conservation work from the national park has brought them back, and they are there today increasing their population.
All right, so then the next day, what are we going to do?
The next day, we're visiting an island called Bartolome. And Bartolome is a small one. It happens to be a paradise for the geologist and for the person that would love to see how plants and animals arrive to an island and start off with practically little to eat, little to nest, to survive, or very few conditions for the species to thrive, because the island is mostly rock and ash, and the landscape is possibly the best one you can get in this itinerary.
So I heard there's a chance we might see the penguins.
Believe it or not, on these islands that are straddled by the equator, we do have a species of penguins, and tomorrow we're in the range of distribution. Bartolome Island, besides being a paradise for the geologist, it has a small population of penguins, and who knows, could be that tomorrow many of you would be swimming with penguins without wearing a wetsuit. Imagine that.
Wow, that warm.
Without wearing a wetsuit. Yes, in these waters, we do have penguins, because otherwise you would have to wear maybe a dry suit far in the south where penguins live. But here is different.
Yeah. And then coming up after that,
Genovesa Island. And Genovesa, I think, would be the best way to end this expedition in the Galapagos Islands.
why is that?
Because the island is first far from the rest of the islands, and it is a magnet for seabirds. And not only a magnet for seabirds, but also it is an old volcano that has collapsed. And this is a unique experience because the captain will take the ship inside a volcano. Can you imagine that? The captain will steer the ship to the crater, and right there will drop anchor and will develop the activities of the day. This island has a population of more than 200,000 red-footed boobies, possibly 100,000 frigate birds, and the usual suspects, sea lions and pelicans and blue-footed boobies. So if you want to see birds in large numbers, Genovesa is the place.
So let me ask you this question, which I know is important to you. It's that, I mean, we're going out to over 90,000 travel advisors, and I know it's almost emotional. You want them to understand why Lindblad Expeditions is so important to you and why it will be important to their clients.
It will be important to you and the clients that you send to us, because you and them will be part of this ever-growing Lindblad family, in which we do the best we can to connect them with these wild places. We have the expertise, we have the people that bring the experience to life in front of your eyes.
So let's talk about that crazy moment when all the blue-footed boobies were feeding at once.
We weren't there looking for the blue-footed boobies at all. We're just taking our Zodiacs back to the ship after an amazing days with tortoises. And in the middle of our way there, a huge, but I mean,
Like how big?
thousands of blue-footed boobies started shooting above us. They started feeding from fish that was underneath our Zodiacs, and we were just in the middle of that amazing moment. We couldn't believe it. It was like that Nat Geo moment.
It was a feeding frenzy.
It was such an incredible feeding frenzy. Not anyone. It was a spectacular one.
But it was attack after attack. It's like they came around and the first group that ate, they moved away, and then the next group moved in.
Of course, if you have such a food, you don't waste time. You have to go and grab it. You know, it is difficult for blue-footed boobies to grab their food. They have to train. Fish are going to escape from you, and they have to see it from above and calculate the angle that they are gonna that they're going to shoot into the water. And inside the water the fish are trying to escape, so they have to be agile and grab the fish with their beak coming out of the water, and they swallow the whole thing. It is a process, that is a technique that they have to learn and they have to practice, and they're good at it.
But now if only one booby was going after the fish, it probably wouldn't be as effective.
Well, sometimes they do it, actually.
No,
yeah.
but I mean, this was a crazy. The amount of splashing disoriented the fish.
Probably with the amount of boobies that were there, it's because the amount of fish that were inside, underneath that, the huge school of fish that probably at the same time is being chased by sharks. Right? So that's when you have feeding frenzy happens. Everything underneath, and the school of fish cannot go deep because you have big predators pulling all the fish to surface, and that's when all the birds strikes.
I hadn't thought about deep down why they had risen to the surface.
Otherwise, yeah, of course, you will escape underneath, going deeper where they cannot catch you. But that's where they use the Zodiacs to protect themselves from the birds. So the birds have to calculate very closely, and we were having birds like in all directions. They were just amazing.
One last question. What do you like about working for Lindblad Expeditions?
Oh, it's my home.
Tell me why.
It's my home. Every time that I'm here, all the crew members, everyone is so friendly, is so respectful. we're happy to be on board. And every time that we have to leave the ship to go back to our real places, we're happy to see our families, but sad at the same time to leave our other family. So it is attached to our hearts. We really love to be here. It's just sharing with the world, sharing with our clients, but at the same time knowing that we're doing it in a good way, in a way that we conserve the place, we preserve, we're sharing a good message. We're teaching people not to be afraid of nature, but embrace it, right? That if you really take care of your planet will take care of you too. But we are in this all together, and everything is connected, and we can see all these interactions, and people is more aware, and they want to help, they want to contribute. And it's not just about sending money for projects, and that does help a lot, but being aware of what you do back home, how much you consume, how are you using plastic, are you recycling, and they're really, really willing to contribute, and whatever they do back home is really affecting the Galapagos and every other place in the planet. So, touching their hearts in that way is something that it fulfills us completely.
What is it about Lindblad Expeditions that's different?
Oh, where do I start? The truth is that I've been with Anne for close to 2 decades, non-stop. And there's this concept of expedition travel. And it's a journey of discovery. We use different tools of explorations, and we maximize the experience of our guests everywhere we go. And so I think that is extremely deep because, yes, we go to different exotic, beautiful places, but to have our experts, and we have an array of experts, to have our tools that we can go deeper into having fun, to have knowledge, to have a memorable experience. I think that in itself is the core of expedition travel. And Lindblad, in National Geographic, they do it extremely well.
But they also do it with a family feeling, and I think you have a story about that.
Oh, yes. That's why I ask, where do I start? Because the truth is that I've been moved and inspired to work for this company. And one of the strong things that I feel is that as a naturalist, you're influenced. Of course, the places that we go to. But as a naturalist, you have this link, and you will become a big family. Our clientele, our guests. And I have an anecdote many years ago, but this one specific happened last night. I was dreaming, and I dreamt about this little kid that I met the family, but I saw the kid now growing. It's been years. And so I give him a call and send him, and he says, "Oh, I dream about you. I miss you guys. I've been in Mexico because of them and everything." And so they have come here twice, and they're coming for the 3rd time to the Galapagos. And we've created this bond, this family feeling with the family, with this kid, and it's all because of Lindblad, because of the places we go. So I don't believe it's just us as a family, but I think it's a big Lindblad family. Because it's not just them, but many of our visitors come into many exotic places that we go around the world. Mm-hmm.
I hear of the naturalists, you're very passionate. Well, they're all passionate about sustainability, but this is a specific niche that you want to speak about. Tell our 90,000 travel advisors all about it.
Wow. Well, I think that something that makes us different is our passion, love, and respect for nature. And we want our guests to have a pure experience, a contact with nature, and not only that, but learn about all of these conservation efforts that we do in the Galapagos. For me, I think is this great opportunity that I have to talk to. I mean, you don't know how many people we get here, and these are CEOs of important corporations or investors, and they're willing to listen to what we say. And what we're gonna do is put a little seed of respect, conservation for nature. So when they watch a nature show later, it's like water to the plant, and that hopefully will change the behavior of people. So this is not only a travel experience, but it's also an educational experience. Yeah, and not only for our guests, but for us, because just by interacting with the guests, we also get to learn a lot, and expand the knowledge.
Well, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.